In today's video, we're going to be painting up an adult Remorhaz from the Dungeons & Dragons Wizkids line. Okay, so what we're going to be doing with this miniature is we're actually going to be starting off with the base here and the nice big rock that he's standing on. So we're going to be using Castle Grey to be painting up that big rock. Now it is very smooth and slick, doesn't have a lot of texture and detail in there, so it's going to take a couple of coats to cover that up too. And the good thing about these miniatures is they're already pre-primed, so we don't have to worry about that step as well. So getting in there with a nice big thick brush so I can really cover a lot of area pretty quickly, and then we're not too afraid to paint between the Remorhaz's legs or anything like that as well, since that's the best reason and why I'm going to start off with the rock here first. Okay, so once we've got that rock all dried up, we're going to come in now with some stonewall grey, and what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be giving a dry brush over it. So I've got a nice big dry brush here, which is just an old makeup brush. I actually make pretty good dry brushes for getting into nice big areas and stuff like that, and they have nice soft bristles which really catch the high points on the miniatures. So you can see how this step would be very difficult to do if we already had the Remorhaz painted up. So that's why we're doing this now. Okay, so once we have that stonewall grey dried up, we're going to come in now with some ash grey, and we're just going to be going over top of it again, since we're just progressing up in lighter greys, so we can catch all those high points and make it look like a nice natural rock that the sunlight is hitting from in different angles. So just giving a nice good covering over here as well with that dry brush. Okay, so now we have all that rock done. We're going to come in now with some agrax earthshade, and we're going to be giving a wash over that rock to really tie back in that earthy texture and color to the rock back in here, and the wash is going to be really good for doing that. Now you can see it's quite a dark brown and we're covering over a lot of areas, but don't worry, because I'm going to be spreading it a lot thinner and making it go everywhere so it pulls into the cracks and stuff. Now it looks really strong now, but we're going to slowly smooth this out over the entirety of the base of the rock here, and it's going to look a lot more natural once we've got it washed over everywhere and dried up. Okay, so now we have our rock complete. We can now move on to the Remorhaz itself. So starting off with ultramarine blue here, what we're going to be using is basically we're going to be using the ultramarine blue for pretty much the base color of the entirety of the Remorhaz here. So we're going to be going over pretty much everywhere, giving a real close attention, especially to the carapace on the backs here and all this nice detail, because it actually has quite a lot of ridges and bumps on here. So we want to make sure we get in there and get in between all those gaps and the plating he has on him and all those little nooks and crannies in there. So don't forget, of course, to wash down your paint a little bit, which is going to make this step a lot easier for getting in between all those cracks and stuff in there as well. Okay, so now we've got pretty much the base color of our Remorhaz done. We're going to come in now with some crystal blue, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be dry brushing this over the entirety of everywhere we've just painted up in that ultramarine blue, just to give it that nice highlighted effect. And as you can see here, there are some key parts that I did miss out on painting in the ultramarine blue, which are the very tips of the back spikes that he has on him and these nice big horns that he has on his face as well. I've just avoided painting those because we're going to be painting those in other colors a little bit later on. Now I know the back spikes are going to be a little bit hard to avoid, especially while we're doing this dry brushing here. So this is leaving those bits out as an optional step, but we are going to be painting those over in a different color just a little bit later on. Okay, so now that we have all that dry brushed up, we're going to come back in now with an electric blue, which is a lighter blue again, and we're just going to be doing the same thing, which is giving a nice dry brush. This time we're just going to be focusing on the top of our miniature here, so just along these back spikes and everywhere that's going to be really catching the sunlight. So really focusing, as you can see on the back spikes here, the back of the frill that he has on him, and just really giving a nice coverage over all those places where the light would naturally hit. Okay, so now we have all that dry brushing complete. What we're going to be doing now is coming in with voidshield blue, and we're going to be using voidshield blue to be painting up these little segments on the frill here. that we have on our Remorhaz, this nice big bright shiny frill, which I want to try and make it at least bright and shiny anyway, to make it stick out just slightly from the ordinary Remorhaz, because in the original artwork it's just all the same blue the whole way across there, and I want to do a little bit more than that and make it stand out on the table, have a nice sort of more showy piece than the original artwork leads on. So just coming in here and painting in these sections to give us a little bit of differential here in the miniature. And of course I'm going to be doing the bottom side as well, because I want to make this frill really pop out on the miniature, so it's a nice cool focal point. Okay, so now we have the frill picked out. We're going to come in now with some blue tone wash to wash over the entirety of our miniature. Now, I also forgot to mention, while I was doing the frill in the voidshield blue, I also painted up the very big horns or antennas that he has on his face as well in that same voidshield blue, because I want to have those stick out as well. So just some nice areas that we're going to have stick out on our miniature to really lift up and add to that wow factor over the whole thing. So of course we want to make sure, especially with this wash here as well, while we're doing that we want to get it into all those nooks and crannies, because that's what the wash is for, and to really deepen all those areas in there. So making sure we spend some good quality time to really get into all those cracks and crevices. Okay, so once that wash is completely dry, we're going to come back in now with some electric blue, and what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be doing some dry brushing again over the high points of our back of the carapace on our miniature here. So to really brighten all that back up to our original state that we had it, we want to make sure we just give a nice good dry brushing over there. Now you can see I've come in with a slightly smaller dry brush so I can be a little bit more precise in where I want it, because I'm just going to be focusing a lot on the back plates of the carapace there. Okay, so once we've picked out all that highlighting in the back carapace, we're going to come back in with some voidshield blue now. And what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be focusing on the very tips of our hood, our frill. I'm not sure exactly what to call this here on the Remorhaz. I don't know if it has a name or not, but I was told that the frill on a snake that I painted up not that long ago was called a hood, so let's call this a hood, I guess. And we're just going to be picking out, as you can see here, the very edges in the voidshield blue to give it that nice highlighted effect, and like there's a little bit of light coming through the edge here. So I'm just going probably about a fourth of the way in to the actual miniature on each of these little plates that we've highlighted up in the voidshield blue. Okay, so once we have all that done, we're going to come in now with some ivory. And what we're going to be doing with the ivory is we're just going to be picking out just the very edges of the places where we just painted up in that voidshield blue to make it really look like the lights bouncing off there. Especially since the Remorhaz comes from a snowy region, we're sort of reflecting some of that nice snowy region sort of vibe and energy onto the miniature here by giving it these nice white tip bits of the frill and the hood here, to really make it stand out and pop out on the miniature, so it looks like lights coming in and bouncing off those nice corner pieces that we got here. And you can see I'm just tapping it on the edge just to give it just the tiniest sort of highlight. Now you can see it's quite big and messy here when you do it, so you could smooth it up a little bit if you wanted to, but when standing back on the table you're very rarely going to notice it. Okay, so once we've done the very tips of that hood there, what we're going to be doing now is coming in with some lava orange. And we're going to be using lava orange to be painting up all those spikes that we tried to avoid painting on the back of the carapace here of our Remorhaz here. Now, I know it was going to be extremely difficult whether we avoided painting them or not, since we did so much of the dry brushing over top of it, but all we're going to have to do is just add a couple more layers of the orange paint on here to really make it stick back out and get it back its original vibrancy with that nice orange color. And what we want to do is we want to pick out every single one of them along the back here, so making sure we get both sides. As you can see here, can be very easily forgotten, the back sides of these little horns here, especially on the front ones. So don't forget to go pretty much all the way down to the point where it touches the carapace as well. Okay, so now we've gotten all that lava orange in there. We're going to come in now with some mythical orange. I'm going to be using mythical orange to be painting up just the tips of all these little horns and spikes that he has on this Remorhaz's back of the carapace there, just picking out the very tips. So the reason why he has these bright orange glowing spikes down his back is because the Remorhazes live in the ice and the frozen tundra and stuff, but they actually internally in them have like a fiery core in them, and that's where it flares out, is through these little spikes, so you can see that they can shoot off this fire damage. So that's what we're doing here, trying to create that intense fire effect. Okay, so now that we have all those painted up and picked out, we're going to come in now with some jungle green. And what we're going to be doing with the jungle green is we're going to be painting in our Remorhaz's eyes. We want these nice, big, bright, glowing green eyes on the Remorhaz, which are going to really stand out amongst the blue and the orange that we already have on here. So just giving a nice good coat over the eye sockets there. Then once we have all the eyes painted up and dried up, we're going to come in now with some ivory. And what we're going to be doing with the ivory is we're just going to be picking out the Remorhaz's teeth here that you can just see. So I've gotten a nice fine brush here to pick out those teeth. Even on the inside of the mouth here, it has some nice little raised bumped edges. So don't forget to pick all those out with the ivory. Okay, so once we have a little teeth picked out, what we're going to be doing now is coming in with some green tone wash from Army Painter, and we're just going to be using the green tone to just be dabbing on top of the eye there to dull them back and bring out some more of the detail. And we're going to be adding sort of a cooler effect with the eyes just a little bit later on. And then once that wash is dry, we're going to come back in with our original jungle green, and we're just going to be using it to be dabbing in the very top high points of the eye to make them pop out like they're sort of glowing with an intense sort of fear and focus. So that's the reason why we gave that quick green wash on there as well, so we could really enhance those eyes. And with that, our miniature is basically completed, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a nice snowy sort of tundra effect to the base. So just using some snow flocking here and some grass tufts, I'm going to be making it look like he's on the rock screaming out from a nice sort of snowy tundra sort of scene. So just stick around for that and you'll get to see what the final effect is. And with that, we have finished painting up our adult Remorhaz from the Dungeons & Dragons Wizkids range. And you can see, by just using a few colours, we didn't actually use that many colours at all. We've gotten a nice, vibrant effect on our Remorhaz here, and by giving that hood or frill those different variations in colour, we made a nice, cool, pop-out, stand-out feature along with those nice, flaming red, orange spikes and those green eyes to really pop this miniature out from being just a very big, dull blue bug. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, whether you just enjoy watching me paint up some cool miniatures or you like to follow along yourself. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.